discipleship and catechesis that is having miraculous results. Not only in the Archdiocese of New York, although we're proud of being its home base, but now internationally. So Ryan and Elizabeth, thank you for what you do in Camp Veritas. I almost look at you, Ryan and Elizabeth, as kind of a mini Knights of Columbus. And it doesn't surprise me at all that the Knights of Columbus would be captivated by the work of Camp Veritas. If you want to find a movement that emphasizes all those beautiful priorities of the Knights of Columbus, love for Jesus and his church, all right? Love for priests and bishops, pro-life, service to others, defense of marriage and family, to go on, service to the community. There you got it, at Camp Veritas. So that you two are allied does not surprise me at all.
Okay, so our next speaker, he's going to have to get up here soon now, is Mr. Ryan Young from Camp Veritas, and he's going to enlighten us with how Camp Veritas works and all that it does.
All right. Well, good evening. Good evening. Well, the enlightenment of Camp Veritas, I think most of the room kind of knows. I've been around the block, so I'm not going to bore you with the repeat. But I have an awful lot to be grateful for tonight, looking around this room. So many people have supported us for so long, so many years, so much behind the scenes. And so it is an honor to be with all of you this evening. I really want to thank those who put this endeavor on. Now, if you please stand up and at least take my gratitude. But I want to thank Bishop Peter Byrne here as well. He has been with us for all the years he's been a bishop. I'm not kidding. He's been to every single thing we ever put out there. Whether it's a Fearless Retreat, whether it's a Camp Veritas, he's there days on end, hours on end, in the confessional with these teens on the front line for souls. He is always there. He's one of the holiest, humblest men I've ever met in my life, and I'm honored to walk this walk with this man. And of course, he's ready to run for it, which is an attestation of his of who he is. Bishop Lagenegger was also here initially, and he was there on the first days of this mission up this mountain in the fog. Okay, he was there. God gave me a vision on the top of a mountain, right, where tens upon tens of thousands of people were on their knees in front of the Eucharist, and it was the most glorious vision on top of this mountain, and it was a number beyond count, and it was everywhere I could see. And at that moment, I laughed out loud because at that moment we only had 12 kids signed up for camp. And I went to him and I prayed and I said, Lord, I'm sorry I failed you. And this is what he showed me. It was so far beyond my imagination. It was clearly from him. And I laughed out loud because it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever thought of in my life to this day. Okay? And I went to Bishop Lagenegro and he says, well, are you taking the step up this mountain or not? And at 12 kids, saying what I was saying at the end point, I said, I said, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And he goes, you make the decision. And here we are, right? And so I've been wandering up this mountain in the fog. And we've been climbing this mountain in the fog, knowing we need to climb higher, but that pathway's never been clear. It's foggy. And one of the things I've learned through a lot of pain and experience is that God does not draw in straight lines. He scribbles like a 2-year-old, and I've had many of them, okay? He scribbles here and there and everything else. He never draws in straight lines. Giving more and more people the opportunity to choose him in this miraculous endeavor in Camp Veritas. Now, although the path does not go straight up the mountain, rather up and down and left and right, and half the time we're walking in circles, we've been picking up more and more souls on the journey up this meandering path. Volunteers who are willing to take this journey with us, not just be there at the end point. And although his picture, God's picture, seems like a drawing of a 2-year-old with scribbles, it is perfect for his purpose. To have his flock get involved themselves in his work. Now, one of the groups that's joined us in this journey is the Knights of Columbus. They've been sponsoring teens for years. individually from their parishes. They've given us money here and there along the way that we use in scholarships for these kids. They also come to volunteer from time to time, both at Camp Veritas and Fearless Retreats. And it's because of the support of people like those in the Knights of Columbus and the yes of thousands of volunteers over the years, we've been able to expand every single year, now serving 1,600 teens over 5 week-long camps, including one in Ireland. And Fearless Retreats serves an additional 900 teens for 6 week-long retreats every year. And although bringing eternal souls to our Master in the Eucharist, it's a miracle, but it's not just the volume of souls, it's the number of days spent with Him in the Eucharist. We hosted 63 full-time days of retreats last year. I mean, 63 days. And it's not like an hour. It's from sunrise to sunset and overnight. It's an amazing amount of time to spend with the Lord Himself. And what makes me glad is that those on the path with us up the mountain understand the importance of this mission, and especially the Knights of Columbus, who understand the objective here. Souls are the prize. Souls are the one thing that lasts for eternity, because a soul is made by His breath. It makes me happy knowing that the Knights understand that the means to the end of the numerous good works that they do, whether it's ensuring the Catholic populace, but coats for kids, soup kitchens, or works like the Special Olympics, bringing the eternal souls that we serve to the Lord by name is our objective. We understand that if we're only bringing our brothers and sisters the physical comforts of life and food and clothing, but never introducing our brothers and sisters to the truth in our Lord, we would be completely missing our endpoint, the purpose of our mission. We would miss giving our greatest gift to our brothers and sisters, the hope that He gives us in Himself, the Good Shepherd of our souls for eternity. It is all about souls. Souls, souls. That's what Cardinal Dolan is saying tonight. That's what our worthy deputy is saying tonight. Right? And as our beloved church teaches us, the Eucharist is the source and summit of our faith. And, in essence, as a Catholic, should be the source and summit of our lives. And by extension, I would suggest that bringing souls to the Eucharist is therefore the source and summit of the Knights of Columbus. To suggest otherwise would suggest to me that perhaps one may have joined the wrong group. Happily in this room, I'm preaching to the choir here. You all know this stuff, right? We understand our ultimate mission as souls, to be with our Father forever. We understand that's the point of everything we're doing. So that's the good news. Now it would be easy to pat ourselves on the back and say, we're awesome, man. You know, we're rocking it, right? And we are in absolute deep gratitude for how far we've come. But we have a long way to go. We have so much work to do. Our journey together with Camp Veritas and the Knights of Columbus, God willing, is just beginning. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love you. They also know that I push it, baby. I go all out. I am honest and I'm blunt. Someone once said, you know Ryan Young, that he's kind of mildly intense, So here we go, all right? Our crossroads are simpler at this point. We are at capacity with the works with what we can do with volunteers alone and what the volunteers can manage on their own. Now we have 12 departments of volunteers, and there are thousands of hours of organization, promotion, and logistics that occur before each of these retreats. Thousands of hours receiving, organizing, and leading these hundreds of teams and volunteers. Now originally, this 100% volunteer position of running the operations was handled by my father, who's hiding behind a pillar, right? He did that alone for 5 years, and he's a retired person, and he would be the first to tell you, it encompassed 100% of his time, just organizing the multitude of volunteers coming. And it became overwhelming. Then the task of this went on to Elizabeth, my beloved wife, right? Servant of the Lord, a saint. Now, while raising 5 kids and working full time, while I was off doing everything I have to do for the church and trying to be as good of a father as possible, she filled that role for years. Sorry. Now, This service to our Lord has encompassed our entire life, and to a great extent the lives of our children, and it's good. I'm not complaining. We love our life. The Lord has blessed us with grace. He's blessed us abundantly, and we look forward to being with Him forever. But practically speaking, as many have already noticed, and as the Cardinal let it out, Elizabeth's belly is not big because of tonight's dinner. We are due in September with our 8th child. With some foresight, we've been training directors and new volunteer department directors for the future. With that being said, we're at the point of needing to hire 1 or 2 employees per year. And no, I'm not going anywhere. No, Elizabeth's not going anywhere. You know, we're not going anywhere. We're not giving up. We just need some help. Now, anyone who owns their own business or has employees understands the cost that's associated with this. I could just raise the rates, right? I can. But if you were to ask any priest in this room, they would say it's difficult enough already, especially with poor parishes or families with several children to make it there to begin with. 27% of our teens require subsidy. We've also never said no to anyone requiring financial need. Now, up to this point, in order to encourage volunteers to give their time I can't charge them to do that. So they are coming for free. Anyone who pays anything is paying not only for themselves, for that 27% subsidy, and also volunteers. Now, we've made it so far. We're doing pretty good. But there isn't room in a budget for another 50, 60, 70,000 bucks. Now, alternatively, like other groups, we could spend an exorbitant amount of time fundraising, taking us away from the ministry itself. But I don't think that's the way the Lord needs us or requires us to spend our time. If we are to expand and keep up with the demands of souls thirsting for our Master, we are going to need help from God's saints with a steady annual stream of revenue. Now, happily, I'm not sweating all that much because this is His camp, and it's ultimately His problem. He knows I've given Him everything, and He knows that this, for me, is my hell. He knows that coming up here and asking for anything is my hell. I break out in cold sweats in days in advance. I can't sleep. I'm agitated. My poor wife's been dealing with me. I never ask anyone for anything, really. And this is it. But He knows that with my yes, I've already won, so yay me. What I'm specifically asking for in this room is to consider, maybe as a state of New York, but even to talk to others in the Knights of Columbus, talk to other groups, figure it out, okay? To be an officially sponsored entity and charism of the Knights of Columbus. Now, as the source and summit of the Knights of Columbus is the Eucharist, and as Veritas and Fearless Retreat's only objective is to bring souls to the Eucharist, we have the same exact mission. Now, at this time, brothers, we are at war for souls, just as the deputy just said. We are at war. The secular world would love for all of us to disappear. No, in this time, the Master's been preparing all of us throughout our life to answer this call to Him. Now, there are going to be obstacles that we face. I can tell you right now, I've been dealing with them for 11 years, okay? The two I've repeatedly come to, both in the priesthood and other groups, okay, is that we all have a challenge with politics and lawyers, all right? Now, with the politics, those who can't see, can't see. You're going to go to some people and say, I have this great idea in camp. It brings thousands of kids to the Eucharist, Christ Himself, and they'll have some reason. Once I asked the Lord about this, and He just gave me a little vision. It was Him in the temple. All I saw was His back, and there was the paralytic below His feet. And He was healing this paralytic 5 feet from the Pharisees. 5 feet. And they could not see Him. They couldn't see God 5 feet from them. All they saw in Him lifting up this paralytic was that He healed on the Sabbath. That's all they saw. They couldn't see Him. And with the politics, those who cannot see, cannot see. They cannot. When we cannot see through our egos, we cannot see him, even if you were standing 5 feet away. And all I could say is division is never from God. Never. It's always from the Prince of Division. God is relationship, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He's the Trinity. Unity, community, family, love, brotherhood, everything the Cardinal and the Deputy were just saying. We are in a war right now with the whole secular world for souls, and we can no longer afford to spend a moment in petty division. Now, the second is lawyers. I love lawyers. Look, I work in medicine for 20 years, right? You gotta love the lawyers, you know? They're your best friend when you need them, right? But we as an insurance company or a church will always get a line from our lawyers that in this age it'd be a lot less financially risky to proceed without much interaction with the youth. I get this every day. You don't. I get it from our lawyers. You know, this is crazy talk, everything I'm talking here. And my answer to the attorneys is that if you're thinking in a worldly term of money and possession or stuff as your objective, then the lawyers are totally right. I agree with them. We could lose everything in the world of money and stuff. But here's the point. There's a big difference between fear and prudence. We can and should act prudently while still bringing souls to our Lord. After all, we will all have the answer to the Master directly on this singular issue, as the rich man had to Christ. Are we willing to give up everything in this world to follow him, to follow that soul? Will an insurance company or an empty building be there when we stand before him? Or will eternal souls be there? What is our currency as Catholics? What is our currency as the Knights of Columbus? We've got to make some decisions. Now, I believe the Knights of Columbus are coming around publicly to agree with these thoughts by launching Faith in Action. It's a whole new faith initiative from a national aspect. And this call for an annual subsidy of Veritas should therefore hopefully not be so hard. They are trying to refocus us on the mission of the Knights of Columbus in downtown. Now, because I don't know anybody, and I really don't, I was just telling Monsignor an hour or two ago, I don't know anyone's names. It's a handicap I have. I'm around and I'm myself, and I know faces, and I can tell you a lot about you, but I don't know any names, and it's debilitating, okay? And I don't know who you know, and I don't know if this challenge is going to be fixed in this room. I don't know if you happen to know that person, right? Or that group, or that thing that can solve this problem that we all have. But how are we going to bring souls to the Lord? I don't know. I mean, hopefully, you know, but I'm just throwing this out there to spread the word and figure it out. And meanwhile, I'm going to return to the front line with many of you, and as many of you who would like to join me. And we are on the mountain, ladies and gentlemen. We are on this mountain together. And this is the time, as a unit and as a family, to march together, but also to get somewhat uncomfortable. Now, a priest once said in Lent, if you're in Lent and it doesn't hurt, well, you're doing it wrong, right? And I'm telling you, we are a missionary church. If we're not bringing souls to our Master, then we're doing it wrong. Come, walk with us on this meandering path where we'll get to witness the Lord giving so many the opportunity to say yes to him. And if you know me, then you know genuinely that I love all of you. And I'm not just saying that as a BS thing. I do. We together will continue to see this miracle of souls to at least our end, when the finish line will be revealed to all of us. And we can hear the words, well done, my good and faithful servant. Welcome home. Amen? Amen. Amen. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.